meeting in terms of specific topics as they come up to try to get brief but important public comment during and throughout the meeting. And then we're going to have the general comment. We love you. We hate you. We should be doing this. We shouldn't be doing that. Or, hey, how about that, guys? It's not on the agenda. And we're going to do that at the end of the meetings if we pass this. We're going to ask people to limit their comments to 4 minutes or less. And we'll really try to enforce that. And we're also allowing people that are affected by borough issues. Right now, a resident or someone that lives in the borough or has a business in the borough can comment. We're also suggesting that people that work for an association that kind of collaborative that deals with the borough like they do, or someone who might be impacted from a surrounding impact by a policy or something that the borough does. So those are the essence of the changes. With that, is there a motion before we get into the discussion? Is there a motion to adopt the resolution regarding public comment?
A motion to adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Kathleen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Timothy. Council discussion. Any thoughts, any changes? You love it, you hate it?
So the biggest change is that we're moving the comments to the end of the meeting,
Correct.
but we're also allowing public to make a comment during.
That's right. That's right. I mean, by code or by law, Andy, correct me, there has to be discussion allowed before council takes action.
Right. The Sunshine Law requires that the public have the ability to comment before a vote on any action item is taken. That's why previously it had been done at the beginning of the meeting so that that box was checked for purposes of the Sunshine Law. So yeah, in essence, you'll be allowing public comment on any of the votes or action items that are being taken. And again, this policy will allow you to limit that public comment only to the topic or area that the vote is on at that moment in the meeting. So if I want to talk about swimming pools when we're not talking about swimming pools, you can save that comment to the end of the meeting. So we'll only be allowed on the specific action item that's up for the vote at that point in time. So it is adding more public comment, but only on limited areas.
Timothy?
There was talk about possibly adding some kind of timer system. Is there any more thought about that?
There is actually. It's within this new policy. We're actually looking, I think, to try to find a clock that works and it's not offensive and it's, it kind of works with the meeting as opposed to against it. So yeah, that is part of the policy. We just don't have that clock right now.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from council? It was part of the issue, I think, was it's so disjointed when you have especially a longer meeting and you have these comments up front that aren't related to anything until later in the meeting. It felt a little disjointed as well from my perspective. Is there any public comment about the policy we're talking about? Any thoughts, any comments? Todd Hoffler, 251 North Broad Street. Todd, I'm going to give you the mic. We just heard that people, or if you don't mind, people that come there that are online are having a real tough time hearing us. Thank you.
My question is just general on how the policy will address if there's something constructive being talked about, not a real, I'm going to bang you guys, but something constructive. How do you address yielding of my time to the person who's talking so that they can go beyond 4 minutes? Is that being addressed in this? Thank you.
To my knowledge, I don't believe it addresses that. I don't believe it addresses it. Let's see how it goes, and then we can take it as it comes. Is there any other public comment related to this? Any other public comment before Charlotte gets up? Andy?
And I'll speak real loud. The only other comment is when you're doing, looking at this on Zoom, a lot of times we can't hear the council people because they have not positioned their mics correctly. So you guys can take a moment to make sure that.
Thank you. We acknowledge that. And Rachel, please hit us over the head or push our mics in our face or something. Thank you. Could you give, hold the microphone, please?
Citizens' comments and changing citizens.
You've got about 4 minutes.
Okay. It said that there is a faction of council who seek to silence me and will go to great lengths to impede the message I bring to great lengths. I bring to the that I bring to the public. No matter what ploys you connive to employ, I will continue to bring the facts of the severity of our financial situation to the public. And I will not be hindered from doing so because of what you do. You know that I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here from the beginning to the end of the meeting. But what you're doing with this is impeding the civil rights of other people who want to come in here and make a concern and go home. There are many people who don't stay here. So you have us tied here for the entire meeting. And believe me, you know how your meetings get. I don't think it's fair. We have the civil right to bring it to you. And if you can't hear it, it's just too bad. The truth has to come out. Because we're in dire straits here. And I wrote an article. I mean, and also it looks like you're ready to brush us off with the gavel at the end of the meeting. And it certainly was indicative of that last Monday. Where I get this tape?
Thank you. It certainly is not an effort to stop anyone from speaking. Again, it's to have more discussion as action items come up throughout the meeting and then to have a general period afterward. With that, all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. And now that's the action item. Is there any general public comment not related to that action item? Sir, could I ask you to come up to the mic? Thank you. I know it's awkward. It's just the people that are calling in can't hear anything from the audience.
No worries.
Your name, if you don't mind, and where you live?
Rick Bohinski from 403 Chestnut Street.
Rick.
Yeah, regarding the library, you know, I have some, you know, concerns with some of the content there, based off of, there was something written on a board that said the library is a place where you can lose your innocence without losing your virginity. This was posted in the library. And so I said, okay, well, what's in the library? So I went on the catalog and, like, for example, you can rent out various seasons of the Californication, that TV show. There's other things there too. And some of the stuff I don't want to look in to find out the details of it, but like there's a sex addict genre. There's a book in the children's section. I believe it's called Phoenix Goes to School. It's about either a boy or a girl who believes that he or she actually is the opposite sex, and you know, just you know, very concerning, especially in that children's section, because you know, God created men and women, and you know, every man and woman has an intrinsic dignity, value, and worth as being created as a man or a woman, and to you know, to lie to kids, regardless of the intentions, is you know, extremely concerning. So there's a lot of material. Those are just two examples. I mean, it's, for me to go through all the examples, there's just too much. And I did get in touch with Chris Manna, the executive library director. I provided, you know, the feedback form with a few, you know, examples of the content. So he's going to be looking into it. I'm in contact with him. But I guess I was just so shocked at, you know, the material. it's like a hand grenade. It's like, let's get rid of this right now and bring this up, raise awareness, because just very, very concerning. Wanted to bring that to your attention, and we got to get the filth out of the library. So
The borough has no authority whatsoever over the library. Is there a specific request, or you're just sharing this for our and the audience's benefit?
well, I guess for both, and I mean, I wasn't aware that you guys don't have any. I would think that, yeah, okay.
Pardon me, Andy, correct me, the borough, the library is its own nonprofit association. Does the borough have any authority whatsoever over the library?
Not specifically unless you don't appoint the library board members.
We do,
We do, so you have authority over.
board members.
Just the board members, but
Right.
over content and et cetera. Not specific control over them.
Right.
So I mean, it's certainly something that council could address with the board if it deemed fit or appropriate to do so. But they can't, you do not have the authority to say, remove this item, put this item in, take this down, put it back.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick, for sharing that.
Okay. Yeah, and if there's anything you guys can do, like what you were saying, to bring that up, let me know. 610-675-7916 is my number.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you
sir.
very much. Yeah.
Yep.
The next item I'm sorry, Charlotte. Could you grab the microphone, please? Charlotte, could you grab the microphone? No problem.
Attention.
No problem.
Okay, because I'm waving it like a, yeah. I would like to impress upon you the importance of following Robert's rules. We have been negligent of that for some time, some councils. We hear you get into dialogues that belabor the conversation or get into inquiries that are not even relevant to your business and what you have to act on, give ideals for, or vote to. And we would appreciate it if you keep that to a minimum. We've been here sometimes, some councilmen have given 20 minutes on something that the rest of them just let them roll on. If it's not directly to the concerns and needs of the citizens, and it's not a thing you have to do as an action item, we shouldn't be sitting here listening to it for hours. I'm not talking about your special reports that you have. I'm talking about the business when I hear it. Secondly is the fact that we are a municipal government. We're not a corporate setting. So that's why it's irrelevant for it to, it's irrelevant for it to happen here. We're not apropos for it to happen here. It's important that we honor our standing committees, which I don't think we've done. We've talked about how we're going to slice and dice committees, but there are a lot of standing committees we need to hear from, particularly codes. Who is the person that's supposed to be filling Rusty's shoes? Because that's the person we need to know because of the Mill Road complex, because of the lights on the new Amish furniture building that we do not allow. We do not allow lights to spill in our community like that. We're a conservative place here. The same thing of the house, the apartment building on Linden Street just spills light all over the block. Somebody has to get control of this sort of thing, because if it comes down my way, we might have to go to court. It's ridiculous. And that furniture store knows it's out of place because it doesn't fit with any business in that town as far as our lighting and even our, I can understand them having a different type of signage, but we're real conservative here and it's taken away quaint. It looks chintzy, in other words, too, to me. And I come through at night, 12, 2 o'clock in the morning. That thing is blaring. It's terrible. Also, I'm really concerned while there's not anybody talking about how to scale down the debt. We're over $20 million. I can say that. We're over $20 million just for this building. And that doesn't include consultant fees, lawyers, and engineers. I don't know what that is. I don't have that here. But I've done everything else so I can round it off to say correctly, it's over 20 million. And we're only 1 square mile. We had over 50% of the population not being in the upper income levels, and we're in trouble. We cannot stand another tax increase. We can't have that. We need a break. So I'm asking you to reevaluate, because you got to fish and cut bait. We can't continue going down this dark abyss. And man up. Man up. You know, you continue to lead us down here, and the debt's getting more and more, and you haven't reached the goal, and the citizens didn't ask for it.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick responses. I thought we had Robert's Rules of Orders as well. We actually don't. We don't have to follow Robert's Rules of Order. We have an amended version of that, which I wasn't aware of until earlier this week. There is an email. It's help@kennettsq.com. .org, I'm sorry, .org, forgive me. Use that for anything you want to know about the borough or any comment you have. There was a comment, someone called me a couple days ago and said, hey, the arrow next to the new building on State Street is really dim and you can't see it at night. And I asked them, I said, could you please just send that to help@kennettsquare.org? And that was resolved that afternoon. I mean, it's just a great way to get it. It goes to Sunny, and then Sunny distributes it to the department heads to make sure it gets looked at and then followed up on as well to make sure it's taken care of. And this building certainly was expensive. It wasn't 20 million. It was 9.8, I believe, just under 10 million. Okay. Any other public comment?
Quick question. Sean Regal, 245 North Washington Street here in Kennett. The telephone poles, what's the update on all the telephone poles? Did we already talk about that?
I asked about that 2 months ago, and Rob, your response to us was that we have no.
We have no control over.
Yes.
Okay, because they're starting to bend and the devil.
We have no control at all.
Oh, that's it. We paid for them or we didn't pay?
We didn't pay for
We had nothing to do
the
with it.
borough did not pay for the telephone.
Okay. Very simple.
They're just laying all around our side of town.
Yeah. Rob, do you have like a hotline to Pico if there's an issue with Pico or? Thanks, Daniel.
You're hard. The best way for us to do it is actually at our level. We call the techs or the Pico techs that we
Okay.
work with on a day-to-day basis and get them to deal with it.
If there's an emergency or something that's dangerous, if you do help@kennettsquare.org, it'll get to you and you can get a line to Pico.
If it's a dangerous situation, we're better off calling the police
Okay.
because they have to respond faster.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
With that, let's get into the two presentations. Daniel Embry, Executive Director at Kennett Collaborative, your show, Daniel. And full disclosure, again, I am actually on the board and executive committee of Kennett Collaborative and have been for, I guess it's my 5th year right now. Thanks, Daniel.
We'd appreciate it if you use the mic.
Thank you. I'll do my best. I'll try with the mic installed here. I might have to pull it and walk around. We'll see. My name's Daniel Embry. I'm the Executive Director of Kennett Collaborative, which is a position I've held for about a year now. And I'm excited to be able to talk to you. There's some new faces on council. I'm excited to be able to introduce you all to who we are and what we do. So we are an independent nonprofit organization. We have a board of directors who set our mission, about a dozen members of the community coming from representing different groups that guide our work, and they've hired me and I've hired our staff, and we work in the community. So this is the board has written this really beautiful mission here. So what does that mean? What is it that we actually do? If you want to go to the next slide here. We create community programs that support local business and residents. We create events that bring residents to Kennett Square and encourage shopping and dining. We create placemaking initiatives that beautify and decorate town. And we create communications that promote Kennett Square. So we're going to look at some examples as what I'm focusing here is on our 2023 community impact. And also part of what I'm trying to do is to, we get a small amount of funding from the borough, and I feel like you ought to know how we use that and what we did with it. So that's part of why I'm here tonight. So who are we? We're a small team. We have 2 full-time staff members. That's myself and Roz Fenton, who is our community programs manager. You may see her at the farmers market, for example. And then Kelly and Mary Lou are part-time. I love this picture, not just because you can see our team and who we are, but you can also see some of our impact in the community. So behind us are these beautiful twinkling lights. That's something that Kennett Collaborative purchased and installed along State Street, is those cafe lights that help liven up the nightlife here. So that was just over a year ago that those were installed. And I think they've done a great job for what they were intended to do. Our team, we all love Kennett. We're Kennett people, and we love the programs that we do. A lot of these programs are really popular with the community. And when talking about, in our last board meeting, somebody asked us, what's our elevator pitch? If we're talking about what it is that we do. And one of the board members said, well, whenever anyone asks me what we do, I just say all the things you love about Kennett, we do those things. So that's, I thought, a great way to talk about our programs. So I also, one of the things I want to convey tonight is that our programs, which are popular, they also have real costs. And so I'm going to talk about some of the costs and what it takes to do these things. Because the reality is, if we didn't do them, somebody would have to. If Kennett Collaborative didn't exist, you would probably need to create a Kennett Collaborative or something like it. So, for example, the Kennett Square Farmers Market, it's $30,000 that it costs to create a market like that, to staff it, to operate it. Third Thursdays, that's a $20,000 expense. The Holiday Village Market, which is something we do in partnership with the Creamery, but the expense to Kennett Collaborative is about $50,000. Our Around the Square newsletter, again, that's a $30,000 cost to us, and that's our weekly newsletter that tells people not just what's happening, but also kind of dives into kind of focused content on our merchants and people of Kennett Square. So numbers are great, but when we talk about impact, the impact that our programs have on the community, there's a lot of different ways that you could measure that. So you might measure it by the number of people that attend the events. And that's certainly a great way to measure it. And if you've been to any of our events, you know a lot of people attend them. There's other ways to measure it. So vendors, farmers market, it's 40 vendors over the course of the year. These are local growers and makers, small businesses, and Holiday Village Market over 4 days. That's 150 vendors during the holidays that are, again, artists, small businesses and creators. So we're supporting an ecosystem of people here. And I think of these as spaces for incubation for small business. We've got 2 great examples here in Kennett Square. There's Nomadic Pies, which 12 years ago, Molly was just selling pies in the Kennett Square Farmers Market. And now it's a much loved brick and mortar establishment on State Street. More recent example is Mezzaluna Pizza, that is going to be opening a brick and mortar location very soon here in Kennett Square, which we're really excited about. But you may have first tasted Mezzaluna Pizza at Third Thursday. And so we're creating spaces for these small businesses to meet their audience, to test their product with their customers, tweak their business models, find out what works. And we're really proud of that aspect. That's one of the more invisible roles I think that we play in a community, and that organizations like ours play in a community. But of course, there is also the sheer numbers. I mean, 14,000 shoppers coming to 2 weekends in December. That has a very significant impact on the businesses here, the restaurants, the merchants, et cetera. So moving on to events, we have a lot of really popular events, and some of these in some ways are, some of them are more visible things. Kennett Winterfest, a popular festival, the Memorial Day Parade, Summerfest, Brewfest, and a Holiday Light Parade. So, and the festivals, those are, a lot of these events, but especially festivals, pull double duty. They're not just advancing our mission and bringing people into town and kind of adding to the flavor of town, but they're also our fundraisers. And so in a minute, we'll look at how we get our funding, but half of our funding comes just from ticket sales of Brewfest and Winterfest. So next slide. So again, back to the whole kind of counting thing. It can be hard to count the attendees at the parades. I can tell you, if you were at either of the 2 parades last year, it was thousands of people is the number. I think we tried to get Chief Holdsworth to commit to saying that it was 10,000 people, but he didn't give us a precise count. If anyone can figure out how to count parade attendees, I'd love to know. But the impact, again, it's not just that these people are coming to town for a moment. They're and then leaving. They're associating Kennett Square with that place where they had a really fun time, and they did that fun thing, and it was really beautiful, and they ate something delicious, and they saw a bunch of things to buy that they liked, and so then they come back. So next slide. Where are they coming from? And I think I heard something from the gallery here. Why are we doing all this programming for outsiders? Well, actually, our events are local first. So the breakdown is going to look different for different events. When we're talking about Third Thursdays or the farmers market, those are really local events. This is an example of the breakdown of one of our festivals, of Brewfest, which actually kind of draws more from outside than most events. But it's a pretty good example. So 20% from here in Kennett Square, 40% from other non-Kennett Square places in Chester County. But really, that's Avondale and Chadds and Unionville and New Garden and Landenberg. So still pretty local. You might think of that as, I would look at this and say 60% local. 10% from other counties in Pennsylvania, 20% from Delaware, and then 10% from other states. And again, that 20% from Delaware, that's Hockessin and Pike Creek and Newark and Wilmington. So also still pretty local. And about 80% of attendees are coming from within 30 miles. So I know we're 1 square mile. So why does this matter? It's because people who are, let's call them near local, near local people are going to come back on a Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday, and they're going to come back, to get a drink at the Creamery, to have lunch at Victory, to shop at Green-Eyed Lady. They're able to come back and sustain the town, help the town thrive. So placemaking. Placemaking is about using public spaces to promote happiness and health and well-being. This goes back to this idea in our mission of kind of wanting Kennett Square to be the most beautiful town in America. Kennett Collaborative is not the only player in this space, and that's as it should be. Community building should never be about advancing one person's vision or agenda. It's a collaboration. why we picked the word collaborative. But I want to highlight two major areas that we play a pretty vital role in. So one is what we call Kennett Blooms, which is our kind of spring and summer beautification effort. And the other is Christmas in Kennett, or as we referred to the kind of umbrella of holiday programming this past year, there's no place like Kennett Square for the holidays. So both of these initiatives are collaborative. We work with two local garden clubs, with Pratt's Nursery, with Longwood Gardens, and these are also, I think, really fun. I really enjoyed these aspects of our programming. But you know, what we spent in 2023 on Christmas in Kennett and just the holiday decorations and things was $20,000. So there's an investment that's being made into these efforts. And I do want to say I'm really proud of the town tree this year. So people may not realize Kennett Collaborative buys and decorates the tree each year, the big tree on the corner there. So it's something that we do that I'm really proud of. Why does it matter? Holidays are so vitally important to businesses in town. Many of the businesses, it's literally make or break. If they have a bad holiday season, they're out of business. They can make an entire year in that fourth quarter because of the holidays. So it's really vitally important. And then one of the things I think we do really well is communications. So around the square, if you don't subscribe yet, please subscribe. We've got about 7,000 folks that are hearing from us every week. We're telling stories about Kennett Square in lots of different ways. There's in-depth merchant features, and you know, we talk about what's happening, but we also are talking about the people. There's other marketing that we do. We provide brochures for tourists. We do media appearances and et cetera. So in the next slide, we have a couple examples. Last year in March, I think it was March, we had a nice feature on the Public Works team where we interviewed some of the Rob and some folks on his team and took some pictures, and it got picked up by local papers. We also do these Meet the Merchant features. So like recently we did one on Bookhouse Hotel when they opened up that was really, really nice. And that also got picked up. Not everything gets picked up. Sometimes it's just published on our website and newsletter. But we have, you know, we did a in-depth piece on Sarah from Mighty Writers and kind of her impact on the community. And we also partner with folks like Brandywine Valley Tourism Bureau. So I had a lot of fun in December, got to talk to the folks of ABC Channel 6 about why people should come to Kennett to see the Main Street during the holidays and pitching the mushroom drop. So community partners. So we collaborate with both nonprofit and for-profit organizations to support a community. Here's just two examples. We work with the United Way of Southern Chester County to do nonprofit meetups that are just networking and social and opportunities for the nonprofits in the area to talk about things that are kind of relevant to them. It brings out a lot of small nonprofits, which is really nice because we can share best practices and things like that. We also bring Clover Market to town, which we love Clover Market. I'm running long here, so I'm gonna, you'll just have to come on June 2nd to see that. Okay, finances. So we've been talking for, I don't know how many minutes now, about all the cool stuff we do in the community. And I love doing the stuff. Our team loves doing the stuff, but we also have to pay for the stuff we do. So how do we get our funding? A very important 3% of our funding comes from the borough, and we're very grateful. We do depend on it, and thank you. We really, that really helps us out a lot. It's a $20,000 funding. And the story that I'm really trying to tell you tonight is that for that very modest investment of $20,000, you're getting the benefit of $600,000 worth of programming that we're raising through other means. And actually, on the last slide, so other sources of funding, private donations, corporate donations, and frankly, just the fruits of our labors too. So things like Brewfest and Winterfest, that's half of our funding. That's our effort to earn that income. And you may have heard. You could think of it as buying a ticket to Brewfest is paying for the lights on the Christmas tree or the farmer's market. It's that you may have heard the buy a beer, build a trail that our friends at Square Roots will say about the creamery. Here it's buy a beer, build a farmer's market. Now we can move forward. So the borough is a really important partner for executing our mission. I do think it's important on principle too, that some of our funding, an appropriate amount of funding does come from the municipality that we serve. So I also do want to acknowledge a reality here that I think is not often talked about or may not be completely understood, which is that in 2022, the borough did cut that funding in half. And then in 2023, there was an increase in the amount of kind of fees and bills and stuff that went back to the borough that had a net effect of pretty significantly changing the amount of, decreasing the amount of money that we get from the borough. And one of the reasons I want to bring this out is actually just to say how incredibly proud I am of our team for stretching that. And I think we accomplished so much last year, and we found different ways to get other funding. And we really have done a lot with what we've got. So next slide. I don't want to get bogged down on this slide, but there is the detail here if you're curious about kind of where some of that funding that went back to the borough and kind of what categories that happened in. Maybe two big ones are of note are the banner placements and the parking garage, especially during the holidays when we're very, very, very grateful that the Borough Council voted last year to lift the arm in the parking garage for Third Thursdays, and that was at no cost to Kennett Collaborative. It made a really big difference, though, for the people who attend those Third Thursday events. So we're grateful for that. For the holidays, we made the decision to lift the arm, and so we incurred that as a cost, but that was important to us. So next slide. There is a lot to look forward to in 2024. I know you want to hear about this new Kennett Square app, so I won't linger too long on these slides, but there's a lot of great stuff that's coming up. If you want to just kind of move through the calendar to get to that last slide. Yep. So yeah. Pause on this one so that I can take questions from anyone who has questions.
Daniel, thanks very much. Appreciate that, and very much appreciate what you personally, the board, and all the folks and volunteers involved in Kennett Collaborative. It makes Kennett what it is, a big part of it at least. I'm going to put my fellow dais members here on the spot. Do you have a favorite Kennett Collaborative event? Kathleen, is there one that you say, I love doing that?
Most of them. But very impressed with where Christmas has gone, having been in town and part of Christmas in the past, to see where it's been taken to. And you guys did a great job this year. And the parade attendance for the holiday light parade was just above and beyond, which was pretty surprising this year. That went from a kernel of an idea about 15 years ago to full wonderful execution and used to make that still stand out, because there's been moments where it's looked pretty lame in the past. So it looks really good.
It's really come on. Ellie, favorite?
Has to be the Memorial Day parade that comes up Union Street. You know, we're out there every year.
Timothy, you have one?
Same Memorial Day parade. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Kyle?
The parades.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor?
Definitely the holidays, I feel like has really picked up, and I think that makes it a great place for people to stop and linger and shop, and it kind of creates that buzz. And I feel like you get a lot of bang for your buck for that, 6 or 8 period. But I'm a big fan of third Thursdays. I like to go out to eat and do a different restaurant each month. So both of those are incredibly important.
You got mine. That's mine as well. I just love the socialness of third Thursdays. Sam?
Mine is personally a Clover Market. Really love it. We get the whole family together. It becomes a whole thing. We all get lost and have to find each other at the end, but it's a great event.
It is. It is. Daniel, 2 questions. What can the borough do for Kennet Collaborative that it's not right now? Is there anything that would help the Kennet Collaborative accomplish its mission more so?
Well, we love to collaborate. So stay in touch with us. I think just frequent touch points about what we're doing. Sometimes there's things that you might not realize impact something we're doing and vice versa. So I think if we just meet together often throughout the year and communicate with each other, we want to be also supporting what the borough's doing and the borough's vision. So if we're talking and keeping those communication lines open, that'll help. Throughout the year, we're gonna, I love that I can talk to you tonight without asking you to vote on anything. But I'm going to ask you to vote at the next meeting. I'm going to have the whole year's worth of special event permits on your desk there. So, throughout the year, as we're asking for things, just work with us, talk with us, and let's find solutions to things together.
Second question, if you had the staff, the resources, what's the next event you'd like to do that you're not right now?
Oh, man. You could have given me that in advance. A next event. I'd love, so I've been thinking a lot about the pole banners along State Street. I would love to get speakers on those banners. I don't know if we can find a grant somewhere and call it a emergency notification system in the event of a disaster, but also it sure would help with the parades and the music during the holidays. I don't know, that'd be a fun next project.
I understand that Longwood actually has donated some of the street decorations that they use for their very impressive display.
Well, it is a very real possibility we're exploring to see if that's feasible, because I think it would be really beautiful. And Longwood Gardens has been very, very generous with us. They helped us source some of the ornaments on the tree this year. They're great partners, and they care a lot about the beauty of Kennett Square as well.
They're a great partner. Thanks to Longwood. Any questions or comments from anyone up here? How about in the audience? Andy?
Yeah, one question I was.
Daniel, you mind running the mic?
Obviously, we have upcoming in 2026, I forget the name of it, but the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country. And I know the Chester County Historic folks are very involved in it. The Heritage Center in Kennet probably will be very involved. I want to make sure that both the borough and you all are thinking about what can be done to encourage people visiting based on the history of our town. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, we had a kickoff meeting with some partners maybe 2 weeks ago, talking about the 250th. It's going to be fun. We're going to use that to beef up a lot of things we do, like, for example, the Memorial Day Parade. But even we just put together a new pamphlet that's going to be in rest stops, that like a kind of visit Kennett Square pamphlet. And we had in mind that there would be kind of an increase in tourists on their way to Philadelphia, kind of looking for places to stop and see kind of for that anniversary. So,
Any other questions or comments? I see some board members out there. Any thoughts, guys? Sean, I've never heard you this quiet before. You okay? Daniel, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Did you want to say, please?
Hey guys, I'm Zach Hathaway. I own Sweet Amelia's, the new restaurant on 102 East State Street. Quick little blurb about what Kennet Collaborative means to us as a restaurant. Dan pretty much nailed it. When it comes to that fourth quarter sales for us, we've been in business for about 9 months now. Family owns a small business, it's a day-to-day struggle. My wife and I are a team of owners. We haven't gotten paid since we opened the restaurant. We both left our jobs to do this, to chase what we love. I think that we couldn't have found a better spot to be a part of a community. But that programming that happens between that late November, early December is really what drives us. Right now, we're still riding on those funds from that time of year to support our staff, which are all local staff, support ourselves, support our families, support our restaurant. So it's definitely not to be downplayed what the Kennet Collaborative does for us. Third Thursdays goes all through the summer. We've all seen Kennet in the summer. It could be a ghost town at times. To hit a third Thursday in the middle of June, July, that again is something that carries us through the rest of that month. So not to be downplayed, so something to think about. So appreciate Daniel and the team. And it really is a huge impact for us small business owners in Kennet Square. So put that out there.
Thanks. And we're thankful you're part of Kennet as well, Sean. Unless there's any other comments, Daniel, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for
Kennet
giving me
Collaborative,
this
thank
time.
you. Mr. Communications.
So we wanted to provide an update on the development of our Borough app. Before we get started, I just want so when you download the app on your smartphone, this is what it'll look like. There's nothing that the app provides that you can't access on a website. So I'll do the website versions because it's wider and you can see it better. But just so that's when it's actually in your hand on your phone. So there's two key functions for the app, two key purposes. One is to for residents who are seeking information and resources from the borough. I kind of view the first function of it as a kiosk to our website, and it makes it a better user experience. So there are 9 home buttons that you see here. These are the things that are the most commonly requested information or things that we want to promote. So obviously our newsletter is big. It's something that we want to promote. We currently have over 10,000 people subscribed to it, which is pretty good considering Borough's only has a population of 6,000. And it's usually just disseminated the Thursday after the Wednesday council meeting. So our February newsletter will go out. But so if you come to the app and you have this home button, you'd be able to click on the app, and then here you'd be able to see, you'd be able to sign common inquiries we get about water and trash you pay online. Instead of trying to navigate the website, where do I find it? You come to the app, you click here, and it takes you right to where you would go to pay your utility bill. People who just kind of want to peruse the homepage, that's an available option on the button too, right? It just takes you right to our website. Again, think of it as like a navigation tool to easily access our website. One of the things that we're focusing on is soliciting resident feedback and customer service. So that's something we wanted to highlight as one of the home buttons. And so if you were to click on that, we have a customer feedback survey that you can fill out and then let us know what your experience was like engaging with the borough. Borough directory, again, identifying, our council members, the mayor, borough officials. This one's an interesting one. So we have our permits and fees, probably a more commonly requested information we have on our website. And what's interesting about this is it's intertwining of 2 different major initiatives we did. So obviously we have the app here, but another thing that we took on was digitizing and updating borough forms and permit applications. So you see here right now, if you were to click on this, it's a form that you can't fill out online. You'd have to print it out. You have to fill it out by hand, and you have to scan it or email it. It's just not user friendly. So like the idea is we're having our new codes employee Lexi, who's just focusing on digitizing where applicable the forms that we can for our permits, so that forms like this will look more like forms like this that you can submit online. Submit online. Again, it's all about a better user customer. Promote social media. We're on Facebook. I think we have 4,500 followers on Facebook. We want to promote, so we want people to do that. And we also have several requests and inquiries we get about trash pickup, recycling schedule, and leaf pickup. So those are the kind of the 9 main things, but there's several other options that people might be contacting the borough and wanting to get. So you see here, all the home buttons are embedded in these options. So you take all these options, the top 9 are the ones that are everything from, you know, borough events and our calendar. Rachel does a good job keeping our calendar updated. You can see if you look to the calendar, we have a council meeting tonight. Daniel, thank you for the early entry of Winterfest, the 24th, the farmers market, all the events that are going on. Okay. So you can have, you know, borough news. We post all of our information on the website, all the different newsletters, updates, construction, emergency notification. Utility billing, again, this was one of the home buttons, but again, it's all in the other options in case you miss it when you're going through it. Boards and commissions, we have a list of all the boards and commissions that we have in the borough that people can go see. And we're always encouraging people who want to volunteer. So again, another digital form that we have. Anyone who's interested in serving on a board, you can click, you know, any boards you might be interested in. Borough departments, if you're looking for something from a specific department, we have it broken down by department, which navigates and routes it directly to our website. Spoke with the chief, so if you want to call me, you want to see him about the police department, it goes right to our crime. Public meeting documents, we get a lot of inquiries about that. If you want to go see any type of public documents. Right. Emergency notifications is where we've made a lot of improvements. For snow emergencies, this link gives us direct information of like what a winter warning entails, what a snow emergency entails. We're readily using Ready Chesco, which is an emergency notification system through the county at no cost to us. We have over 9,200 people sign up for our Ready Chesco. So that's everything from hydraulic oil spills to fires to floods, you know, snow emergencies. We readily use it and we encourage people to sign up and they'd be able to do that. Another cool thing that we can do is connect with community organizations. So if you're coming to our borough app and you then want to get information about the park, CACs, senior center, tenant collaborative, you can be able to access all the information from other nonprofits that we work with and be connected to their website as well. So we have the Y there, we have the United Way, Square Roots, we have all our major partners. So that's the first major function of the app. It allows you to navigate our website, access the information that we have, the resources that we have. The second function is a platform that allows residents to submit inquiries for things that they need to report. You go to this icon here, it's submitting request. Now, normally, if this was your account, you would have your email account, your password. We did allow for people to submit anonymously, mainly because the con with that is if people submit something, we don't have their contact information, we can't follow up with them. But if there's a reason why they might not want to submit something, if they're like, it's a neighbor's high grass and they don't want to have it come back to them, it's better to at least get the information than not. So for the purposes of this, we'll create an anonymous request. And then we have it built out by certain categories. And again, this was after discussing with our staff, kind of what are the common inquiries? What are the common concerns or requests that people submit for us? So if you take, for example, you know, there's a code violation there, you know, a code enforcement issue. And then it breaks down to trying to narrow it down, well, what specific code violation is there? So you have different options that you can choose from: overgrown grass, noise, you know, graffiti, things of that.
Is there a general?
Yep, and then so if there's something here specific that we don't have, you can have a general inquiries request, and so that would go bad. So depending on what your issue is, you can, like I said, you could pick, if we try to get it as close as possible. If it's something that's just not there and it's a random one, you have the ability to hit a general inquiry. So what's really neat about this too is, so let's say we actually just had one recently of a traffic light malfunction. Someone's having a traffic light. Okay, now where is it? Now, what's really cool about this is that the borough is geo-fenced in the map here. So if I wanted to type in an address, let's say 313. It won't let me submit that because Elizabeth Drive is outside of the borough boundary. In the same way, you can also drop a pin, but if you want to say drop the pin on Davenport Road, it won't let you because that's not in the borough. But if it's a little further down on Irwin Street, and that's where the traffic light has the issue is, allows you to do it. Or you could also type in the address if you know what it is. So let's just do. Takes you in. Now we have a traffic light malfunctioning at Borough Hall. Every inquiry that you submit for a service request, you always have the opportunity to explain what's going on. Right? So we have issues like, let's say it's a light flickering. Another cool feature is that if you have a video or a photo of it, you can include that in the service inquiry to help our staff better understand what's going on, exactly where it's located. We actually had a gentleman who reported a malfunctioning traffic light, and he actually sent us a video via email. And if you have an account and but you want it to kind of be you want it to be private, you can click and keep it private so it wouldn't be seen. So you have a traffic light that's at 600 South Broad Street. You described it, and then you would submit it. And then depending on what category it is where it gets routed to for department. So if it's a public works issue, it'll get routed to public works. If it's a codes issue, it'll get routed to codes. And then from there, we're able to provide updates within the system to the person through a message. So let's say you submitted it, that's great. And you see here the message, if there was an update, like if we wanted to need more information, or we wanted to let you know it'll take 2 to 3 weeks, or if it will be done in a day, or whatever it is, we can communicate with the resident via on the back end and by submitting them messages. And then when it's closed out, they would get a notification like, light's been fixed, thank you. That's kind of how the system works. So you look at it 2 ways. It's, I'm a resident, I'm the public, I have information I want to get from the borough. That's what all this is. And then there's a problem I need to make you aware about. I have to report something. And then you have the request, service request. So kind of our next steps with this is we're going to have training for our staff to kind of learn the back end of it. We're going to have beta testing with a group of stakeholders in the borough to kind of let them play with it and tell us, what they like about it, what they don't. We can make changes to it. It's very customizable, which is great. And then, we'll do a soft launch, practice it out, work through any issues, make sure everyone's comfortable with it, and then do a larger unveiling, encouraging people to download the app and use it. And
Good. Are you okay taking questions?
Yeah.
Let me throw it out to the folks in the audience first. What questions? What do you like? What do you not like?
And just like I think I said, you don't need to have a smartphone or to download the app. This will be available on our website. So you can do the service requests on the website. You don't have to have a smartphone to utilize.
Any thoughts?
What's the app?
It'll be called the KSQ. It's not, we're still working through the demo. It's not live yet. Yeah. This is more of the intro. So people are aware of it.
Nice endorsement.
Yeah.
You'll put a communication out when it's live, when it's available. When do you expect that to be? Do you know?
I would like to unveil it completely by the end of like March after, because we want to make sure our staff's okay with it. We don't want to put it out there and get bombarded with requests that we don't feel comfortable in like working on it. But I feel confident by the end of March, early April, we should be able to like launch public, like we have this, download it, and we're good to go.
Ellie, did you have something?
Yeah, Sunny, maybe you've already thought about this, but I'm sure your staff knows that there's a lot of confusion in local residents about the municipalities. Like they don't know what municipality they live in. Have you thought about ways to sort of communicate, like, if you're there, you're in the township and this is their stuff?
Yeah.
Like to point people in the right direction at least.
And the geofencing, I think, does that in terms of, but if someone's not
Getting a message that's like, you don't live in the borough, doesn't really tell the person what else they might do.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that anyone, so you could not be a borough resident, but if you're walking, let's say on State Street and like one of the lights are out, you can still make the report. It goes by where the issue is, not the person who's making it. So we want to encourage people, even who aren't in the borough, to get the app, you get the information about all the events and whatnot. Like I said, we have 10,000 people subscribed to our newsletter. We only have 6,000 residents. So, I mean, there's obviously interests that go beyond our borders. But in terms of, yeah, like making it clear that the inquiries themselves have to be issues that are in the borough, we will definitely make that clear in the communications. And I think the geofencing will help that. If you try to,
And maybe a button that's like other nearby municipalities so that people can maybe figure it out.
yeah, and if they do submit something through a general inquiry and they say like, this is an issue and here's like, for some reason I can't do it, it's at this address, we would then get that. And then I could say, oh, that's actually Kennet Township. Let us follow up with you and give you the information to the, that municipality. We do that all the time. Happens.
I'm sure.
You're right, Ellie. I mean, how many folks actually know what the boundaries of the borough are?
Yeah.
I bet you many, many folks.
In fairness, all of their addresses are Kennett Square.
Yeah,
So I
the Pennsylvania thing.
it's a,
I have another question too. So, linking Kennett Collaborative in, say, for like the Winterfest tickets and Brewfest, will that be available on here?
yeah. So if you go to the calendar, you'd be able to click on that and get all information about the event itself. Yeah.
And then when there's like a special event that is coming up, like Winterfest is coming up soon, would that be something that could be on the main page tab that people can go easily? Because,
That could definitely be done on our website and our newsletter. I don't know if there's like an alert system for the app, but definitely something. We could even make the calendar one of the home buttons too. The home buttons aren't set. We can change that up too, but yeah.
Once it's up and running, is there a mechanism to say, hey, consider this, or in the next version to make suggestions or recommendations?
It is very customizable, which is a blessing and a curse. So there's a lot we can do. So if we come to the point where like, oh, we're getting a lot of inquiries about something, we can. Another good thing too is it allows us to so once things are put in the system, it's much less likely that anything could fall through the cracks because it's there and it actually will send you an update like, oh, there hasn't been any activity on this inquiry in 3 days. Like, is something going on? So there's the public piece, which is very important, but then there's the back end piece of our staff being able to not, oh, we submitted a work order. Did I submit that? I can't forget. Did I fax? I don't know. Once it's in the system, it's tracked. And so it's going to make it a lot more efficient on our side too, to follow up with things. And in my previous job, we actually ended up, the council, we had the data, we had 30 complaints about one road. And it turns out because there was a major infrastructure issue below it. So it could also be useful data for the council of like when you're making budgetary or policy decisions that we can say, listen, this has been a major issue for residents. It's just good information for you guys to have also.
Governments are known to be black holes when people call or write in. So will this have an accountability in terms of?
So depending on what the issue is, that the category, it'll get routed to the person and then you can check every day and say like, okay, you have 5 outstanding submissions here. How come there hasn't been any movement on them?
And will there be feedback to the person who said, hey, there's a tree that fell down?
Yeah, so you have the ability that once we take any action on an inquiry that comes in or service request, that message box at the bottom, they'll get a message from us within the app. So you have to say, oh, listen, we did a work order. It's going to take 2 to 3 weeks for that light to get fixed, whatever. Then they know, okay. And then when it gets done, that we close it out, they'll get an alert. Oh, this case has been closed, essentially that it's been addressed.
And did I hear you say it replicates the website? Will this replace the website or how?
It doesn't replace the website. This is kind of like this is the gateway to our website. This just helps you navigate it better. But in terms of what we post on the website is the service request piece. So essentially every one of these buttons is just a link to our website.
The website, at least in my opinion, is pretty old and clunky.
There's certain parts of it is, but a lot of it now has been updated. So like, for example, like the e-newsletter sign up, that's on our website, right? That's pretty good. The resident feedback form, that's a link on our website. So where our website's probably the oldest is in our permit section. That's what we're trying to address so that when you come to our app and you go here, any of these forms you click will be a digital form like the other ones.
What other questions? Any questions, thoughts? You like it? You don't like it?
Oh, I like it. My question was gonna be if somebody came to either our website or if they were on this, is there a search button? Like if they put in festivals, would it give them sort of a link to?
That's a good, I don't, I could ask.
Mush?
Yeah, that I'm not sure in terms of like a search feature. That's a great question. I don't. Yeah,
You
but
sort of touch on that you do have a place for all those other.
yeah, so connect with other community organizations.
Right.
And so
They're,
like,
like searching, so if they came on, they're like, I've heard of Kennett Square, what about a mushroom drop?
yeah. And we can add anything. That's what's neat. Like we can title this any want. So if you wanted to have a specific category for just like events and just list them all, we can have.
Else?
Again, it's just trying to make a better better customer experience, more user friendly. And like I said, to make it easier on our staff that as all these inquiries come in, whether it's to replace a garbage can or a tree needs to be trimmed or whatever, that we have a system that makes it easier for them to navigate and assign it and keep track of. Because, that's trying to be as efficient as we can and be as responsive as possible.
If I could just add one thing, Sonny, is it possible under the reporting, is there a way that we can put a message there that if this is an emergency to contact 911 instead of, submitting certain things through this?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I would just have to.
Like if we run into a situation where a telephone pole it looks like it's coming down any minute, I don't want this to be funneling through, through the app. But if it's lights are shining on something that, that can wait until tomorrow, potentially we could deal with it that way.
Yeah, I'll ask that if there's a way to have like maybe a banner that says, any emergencies.
Good point.
And the chief and I had a discussion about that and some of the things that we had a whole section here for police issues. And we purposely took that down because we don't want to encourage people, like if there's vandalism or crime, this is not the venue to report that. You have to call 911. So taking it one step further, chief, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
And I'm sure this is the first of what will become many iterations as it evolves.
It's very customizable as I've learned. But yeah, no, there's a lot of things we can do.
Can we get Rob's home address and personal cell phone number on that if we need it, or, okay? Okay, all right. Sonny, love what you've been doing in terms of improving communication and interaction with our residents and businesses and what's going on in town. Thank you on behalf of the council and the mayor. Good job.
Thank you.
Unless there's any other business, one comment, Rachel, can we request or can we allow or invite folks that are on Zoom to send questions into you in the future that you can read back to the counselor or the speaker just to kind of get more interaction? I know a lot of folks might not want to come for the whole meeting or might be traveling or bored silly. Is that possible?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right, let's try that going. It'd be great to have folks like during COVID. I mean, there were a lot of folks that called in.
There was
So-
actually someone who had put a question on here.
Yeah, sorry, no questions online.
This was from an anonymous, so it was an online question, but I couldn't attend to it at the time. It was mentioning about the library board. Do you also appoint KPRB members? And if so, what authority do you have over that organization? So some of these questions can be applicable to what is happening in our meeting, and some of them aren't. So we're going to have to do it.
Absolutely.
That,
Yeah, it'd be great to have that interaction. I mean, to answer that question, I'm not, or do we appoint KRP? We do, okay. And I think all the positions are filled right now, but I guess it is, those associations do get appointed by the borough council.
Yeah, I don't think we've done one in a while. I think the same core group has been working.
I mean, that's usually left up to the organization to decide what their bylaws are and the terms.
Right.
So,
I believe we have 2 borough members on that.
thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I realize that the resident who brought up the question about the library and the contents of the library is gone, so he won't benefit from my my comment and I could probably just let it go, but I'm not going to. Even though neither this council or myself have the right or the authority to decide what the contents of the library was or is, if I did, I would not. I am not in the position to tell a librarian what they are going to put in their library. I am not going to be this person second guessing what a librarian makes those decisions. I have 3 children under the age of 8. I am not remotely worried about what is on the books, on the stacks in the kids section. I'm the parent and I'll be standing there with them. And if I want them to pick up the book, I'll make that decision. And if I don't want them to have it, then they won't. But I am not, even if I had the authority, since we're not going to talk about it, since we don't, I want to be very clear that I would not. And if it comes back before council again, at least folks will know where I stand, that I am not in a position, whether elected or in the public, to determine what a qualified librarian puts on their shelves or offers out to the public. Thanks.
Thank you. Kyle?
We were asked a good question earlier today about the Amish furniture store. We did have a meeting on that today, and we'll be following up on that. Our new planning, zoning, and code enforcement manager will be at the next meeting. She's coming on board soon. And we do have our strategic planning session on March 11th at 6 p.m. So again, to President Norris, your earlier comments, a key takeaway was communications as a focus for this year. This is a direct result of that. So there's value in giving your opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Anything else?
Just that I agree with the mayor wholeheartedly.
Fair enough. Any other comments?
Good.
I move to adjourn.
We'll accept that movement. Is there another movement to second that?
I second it.
Done. Adjourned. Thank you very much. Good evening.